So here we are, we're looking at Savannah's grip. So I'm going to show you the first angle here. Now go ahead and hinge your wrists towards you. Right? So feel like it's going to hinge right over your shoulder here. There we go. So notice there, you'll see that support from underneath that index finger. Right? And you see how the thumb comes alongside. So right there, the thumb comes alongside to fill that gap right there. So at the top of her backswing, that club will not fall inside that gap right there. So you can see how the underside of that knuckle is supporting the grip. That's what we looked at when she was throwing the club overhead. And so now, unhinge toward the net. Perfect. Hinge back, right over my head. Perfect. So you see how it supports underneath that index. So now let's go on the other side of you. Okay? So notice how the thumb of her right hand is nice and flat. Hinge down again, Savvy? Okay, that's hinge up, that's fine. So notice as it hinges on that anatomical snuff box here, right there, hinge up, hinge the other way. Perfect. So notice how the thumb, do you feel how the club is being supported underneath that thumb right there?
Yeah.
Now, notice because that thumb is nice and flat, everything is beautifully supported. So now if I go a little bit further over here, so when she interlocks her fingers, notice how she's not interlocking all the way in. So Savvy, go and interlock all the way in. Well, okay? All the way in. Yeah, so you feel now if you interlock these fingers and you go deep inside the knuckles, do you feel how your hands are starting to shift on the club? Okay, now go back to your normal interlock. So notice now it feels like you're holding the club in these fingers right here. So these fingers are neatly wrapped around the grip. Now if you interlock really deep, notice how those fingers are starting to overlap on top of the thumb, and the club is now too much in her hand, so she's going to lose leverage with that grip. Go back to standard. Excellent. You feel more in the fingers now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if we look at this side, beautiful. So you can see how the club is being wrapped nicely by the fingers. So hinge up, hinge down. Perfect. Okay, so back away from the net. Let's see you do a little perpetual motion now, back and through. Get that nice posture. There you go. Let it release. Let it release. Let it release. Go to the top and stop. Stop right there. Okay? So, you can see with that hinge right there, hinge a little deeper. There. Look at her club face, how it's nice and square. So it's dynamically square. And look at the back of both hands, how the wrists are not cupped. So a cup would be her left hand collapsing this way. So notice that's collapsed, and see how the face of the club at the top is wide open? Now go back to standard, Sav. So notice how the back of both hands are hinging together. Let's see you unhinge and hinge again. There you go, fantastic. So the back of both hands, the back of this hand and the back of that hand is nice and parallel, so it looks like the hands are working together. Now go to your finish. Hold the finish. So at the end of the swing, do you feel how the underside of that knuckle is still supporting?
Yeah.
And the underside of this thumb is still supporting?
Yeah.
And you haven't let go at all. So you see, everybody, how nothing comes apart in that grip. See that? So right here, everything is still beautifully attached. Okay, so if we look at the relationship of the hands, these three fingers clamp on. So you see how the heel pad of her hand there is secure on top of the grip. And then we keep coming down. These two fingers are to hold the hands together. These other two fingers are to hold the club. And then the index finger, its sole purpose is to apply pressure. So if you push against my hand here, do you feel how you're applying pressure with your index finger towards me?
Yeah.
Okay? And the only purpose of the thumb, once again, is to come alongside the index finger so it doesn't fall in that gap right there. Okay? So now, go ahead and do a little perpetual motion. Let it release. Let it release. Let the sword release you. Let the sword release you. So let me see. Now, where was that whistling, by the way?
There.
So let me see you do it in super slow-mo again. Good. Let's see it again. Hinge. It stays hinged, and it releases through to the target. Good. So let's see you let it release away from you and more up into the finish. Release up into the finish. You should feel like it's a nice high finish. But we'll work on that in the next session. So I'm sure everybody understands how that grip works now. Thank you very much, Savvy.